Thank you very much for taking the time to join us for this webinar about research integrity, a collaboration between Grounded AI and SciFlow. We have Nick from Grounded AI. The plan for today is Nick will give a short introduction about the importance of research integrity and especially reference management, and provide some insights from the publisher perspective, because in that area, a lot of things happened over the last years. After that, I will take over and talk more about research integrity and reference management from the institutional and author point of view. And then we have a live demo. So yeah, we want to make sure that you can actually see how it's working, what it actually is. And then in the last part, we're going to cover Q&A. I guess we start with the first point. I would say, yeah, welcome again, Nick. Over to you. Maybe you can share with us some insights on research integrity from a publisher's perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Carsten. Hi, everyone. So I'll just start with a brief background, I think, as to how we came to work on this problem, and then talk about some of the experiences about working on research integrity within publishing and how that joins with SciFlow and the institutional and author-facing landscape. So my background, actually, I come from research. So I have a background in neuroscience and biomedical research, gradually got into software and machine learning from there. And co-founding Grounded AI, we saw, just along with everyone else, a lot of advantages and promises of new AI systems. We also saw more and more a lot of challenges and risks and pitfalls, and I think everyone's also very aware of those, and those are going to be a bit of a theme as we continue the conversation here. But when we started our company, we thought, great, let's start working with researchers. Maybe there's things we can do to help find information, summarize information. Of course, as you know, there are lots of systems which are now popping up to help researchers and institutions do better things with information. But what we learned, crucially, was when we were working with researchers, this was about 2-3 years ago now, the main problem, even then, wasn't so much how can you find information faster, how can you summarize it. It was about what information can you trust. What information is accurate, what information is high quality. And so that's the first signal that we had, that, okay, so in research, there is still this big question of how do I gauge quality, and the integrity is going to become an increasingly big concept there. And so we started to think, okay, maybe we can help build a system to actually verify, some aspects about research. Can we verify that facts are actually supported by other work? Can we verify that these things are actually that we can give them a tick and help everyone see that it's correct? And along the way, we discovered that references and citations are going to be like a really major opportunity there. But the way we got to that was when we started working in the publishing space. We were basically saying, okay, to publishers, look, is this something we should try and do? Should we actually build this system? Shall we try and verify content? Would that be helpful? And what we learned was that is a huge need right now in the publishing space, because what you've got is this severely increasing number of submissions to publishers every year. So you're getting many millions of papers being published, but then many millions more are actually submitted and ultimately rejected for various reasons. And the question for publishers is, how do we keep up? How can we make sure that content that we're publishing is trustworthy, it's high quality, it's actually it represents a honest and effective contribution to the field, and actually that's very hard to do at scale. Now, that cannot be replaced by AI and automated tools, but what we found is that it can assist heavily. So you're probably familiar with a lot of various sort of research integrity tools that are popping up How can we verify that images weren't created by AI? Can we even detect the content has been written by a human or AI? But what we're focused on is references and citations. And the reason is this is, for publishers, one of the hardest things to check manually. You get a long reference list. You've got to check out to all of those, make sure those references actually exist, and they're not just all pointing to some certain author that maybe have some bias, and of course that those references are relevant. And so when we first started working in this space now 2 years ago, that focus was on relevance and self-citation. You know, how can we quickly check whether authors aren't overly citing themselves and they're not including irrelevant references just to increase their citation metrics? You know, again, something everyone in the chat's probably familiar with. But over the past year or two, it's really this problem of AI generated content has become a massive problem for publishers. You have now a huge number of submissions which have fake AI hallucinated citations in them. And publishers are actually doing a really great job of filtering these out. They are looking at every paper and trying to get these papers either corrected or just rejected. But some stuff is getting through, and you'll see in headlines there are problems in the published literature, and those problems are growing. And this is why research integrity is such a major focus for publishers right now. And so at Grounded AI, our mission is really to help uphold that quality and trust. And so we're focused on verifying manuscript content and really focused on that references and citations piece right now. And of course, if publishers are using those tools to check authors' institutional work, we believe that authors and institutions should have access to those tools and checks as well. And that's what we're going to explore today. So I want to hand it back to Carsten. Take it from there.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Nick, for giving some insights here on publishers' perspective. So we are going to continue now with some perspective on institution authors, how research integrity and reference management. So I know that some people are in here who are already familiar with SciFlow, and there's some who are not familiar. So I try to keep only the minimum level of what do I have to cover in order you understand what I'm talking about and cover SciFlow. But the main focus today is definitely on reference management. So those people who know SciFlow probably know this slide. This is basically the reasons why we started SciFlow as a company some years back. So there are, some aspects in academic writing that can be quite frustrating, although they have nothing to do with actual research. And on top of the list, back then and still today, is formatting. So still, there's a lot of time actually wasted of just formatting paper according to guidelines. And same goes for collaboration and workflows. If you want to resubmit your paper to a different journal, you have to do the formatting again, because general tools like Microsoft Word or Google Docs doesn't support actual writing workflows for researchers. And what we've seen over the last years is how complex actually reference management became. It's not just, like it was some years back, you have a library and you try to collect as much of your references and then find the relevant references for your papers. Right now, there are lots of more aspects to cover. And this was our motivation to say, okay, this is a topic we want to look into, focus on, and work together with Grounded AI. So there are numerous ways where citation actually can go wrong. So you have, Nick covered this, the fabricated references, where there are actually bad actors. For example, try to get citations and do fraudulent stuff. But this is just a very tiny piece of that circle here. You can have metadata issues, for example. You can have, you like to sell yourself too much, and have too many of your own references inside the paper. Or in the heat of the moment, you might have a wrong references attached to a claim that is actually not supported. Um, and if you're saying, okay, I, as a researcher, or my researchers at the institution, this is not something that could happen to them. That might be right, but at the same time, usually a research paper consists of co-authors, multiple authors, and there might be issues with one of the things that the other co-author wrote in the paper. So that means more collaboration, more versions, more tools. Different citation managers are out there. You have the increased use of AI writing and editing. So if you have a co-author, maybe the fifth author of the paper, who has no time and just put in some text where there are problematic references, it happened in the past. Yeah. Also, when the time pressure hits before submission, you maybe start to copying around stuff about across multiple drafts, and there might be just a citation missing, or you picked the wrong reference. Again, from a publisher perspective, that might be recognized as an honest mistake and can be fixed throughout the submission review and production workflow of the publisher. Um, but of course, if you want to get into high-tier journals, the best what you can do before you submit, make sure that the paper is actually correct and you don't have outdated or even retracted references in the text. I'm saying this, but this is an internal survey of SciFlow. So we ask every user when they sign up for SciFlow which reference manager they actually use. And yeah, I checked the data of the last 3 years, and actually 38% of the users in SciFlow, mainly researchers and students, don't use actually a reference manager. And if you think of, okay, I'm using a reference manager, but again, there might be a chance that your co-author doesn't have a reference manager, doesn't use one, and there might be issues with that concerning metadata, retracted paper, and so on. So Nick covered the part about the publishers and how is it's definitely responsible for publishers to make sure that accurate papers are published. But research integrity, we believe it's a process that is throughout the whole cycle of writing and publishing a paper, and of course, even before for the actual research. So why checking reference matter for authors is reduce the risk before submission. The less issues, or even better, the higher the quality, the higher are the chances for being accepted into high-tier journals. It also, checking references improves the credibility and the quality of the manuscripts. And also, actually, it can save a lot of time on manual verification. So it's really not necessary that you go through all the metadata. Are the authors correct? Is the year correct? Is I don't know, the journal title correct? There can be some advancements to that. And even in the after the submission, if you go through the review as an author, it might speed up if you already covered that part. And for institutions, let's say our goal here is that institution have the chance to support the reasonable use of AI. So by now, I hope it is obvious to you that it's not about generating reference or text or anything. It's about improving the quality with the help of AI. For institution that contributes to ensure that quality standards at scale are in line. So if authors have a simple to use check before they submit, the chances are high that they're using it. And for institution also, that means there are research integrity policies in place, but offering it in a tool, yeah, makes it quite pragmatic and alignment to those policy. All right. So what we see as a paradigm shift here is that integrity is not just a final check problem at the end of the publication or at the end before the submission. The best to have research integrity is to happen by design, and this is what we want to do. So we want to make sure that we integrate those checks into the writing workflow, provide continuous feedback, and it's scalable through automation. So this is again, like I see it a little bit like the how we started with SciFlow with the automation of formatting. So yes, you can do it. Researchers or students can do it by themselves. But if they have a tool to help them automate those tedious checks to see if the metadata is correct, to see if one of the co-authors cites himself too much, if this is possible with automation, it's definitely a good step towards quality improvement. So, what's the solution? Yeah, I know this is something that is discussed throughout the industry a lot. Is it a solution that AI just solves all the issues automatically in a paper? Is there the magic button that says fix my paper and after that everything is good? Yeah, we at SciFlow, we actually believe it's a little bit more in the detail than just having a button. So let's say we came up with some principles from SciFlow how we want to approach AI, and these are also the reasons why we selected Grounded AI as a partner for helping us to achieve that. So the first I already mentioned. So in SciFlow, our approach to AI will always be the focus on quality improvement, not content generation. So yeah, authors still have to write for themselves in SciFlow. We believe that AI can assist humans. Maybe let's call it review layer, but it can never replace human judgment. So final decision maker will always be the human in SciFlow. And this is just because, yeah, it might be, so let's say, for example, in software development, it might be different. So you can generate code that actually works. But with writing research, we believe it's such an innovative process. It's such let's say, detailed knowledge partner where it helps if you have more information, but it's still your work and you still make the final judgment. What we can assist with is to automate time-consuming checks. Like I said, we have this automated formatting. This runs without AI, and now we have the first check in place for reference management. And the third principle for us is always to data control and transparency. So this is what I want to show in the demo as well. Just besides that the solution is working, I also want to show you that the user, the institution, has control over the data. And the principle here is yeah, data control and data minimization. So we just share as little as possible to get results out. All right. Yeah, let's start talking a bit more about the solution we have with Grounded AI and their product Veracity integrated to SciFlow. And after that, I will show you the demo. So just here's some examples where we can perform checks and help authors. So we can detect retracted literature. This is also yeah, something quite interesting. So over the last years, just the amount of retraction gone up dramatically. And it might be that you have retracted papers in your reference management library and don't know about it. So you might start a paper now, and if you want to publish it in 1 year, you might have retracted references in your paper. We can check that the sources are actually findable by editors and reviewers. We can find out metadata mismatches, incorrect publishing years, for example, or other details. We can detect unclear relevance. This is where definitely AI comes in handy to check if the claims are supported by the actual reference. And we can, it's also quite important, make sure your co-authors does not cite themselves too much. So to sum it up, for us, it is the goal that authors write with SciFlow have greater confidence when they submit their paper to the publisher. All right. Yeah, let's switch to the exciting part, to the demo. Here we go. So SciFlow, as probably most of you know, we work with institutions provide access to SciFlow to their researchers and students. So usually institutions, they get a portal like this and can, and researchers and students can sign up for themselves, get automatically a pro license to SciFlow. One of the pro features is, and I'm just gonna cover some parts of SciFlow here in general, so you just get an idea what SciFlow is. So one of the most important things in SciFlow is that you can start writing by actually selecting the template where you want to submit to. Let's say you are a researcher and you want to submit or write and submit a paper to a journal that is called Climate of the Past. You can just select it in our template library, and then the paper is you get. Oh, yeah, 1 second. Live demos are always interesting to see if everything works. Yes, that looks better. We selected the template Climate of the Past. This is a journal. And what you see right now is sort of the heart of SciFlow. This is our text editor. You see already there are some chapters actually added to the paper: abstract, copyright statement, introductions, sections. And those parts are already those parts the journal Climate of the Past actually needs. So we go through the author guidelines. This is part of our work. Extract those informations and put it into the template. When you want to submit your paper, you just say download as Word document, and then SciFlow automatically formats the written text into the desired format of the journal. And that's the reason the SciFlow UI itself, it looks like quite clean. It looks a little bit maybe like Google Docs, like typical text editor, but you won't find things like, for example, font size or font type, because this is all information that connects to the template. You don't have to care about that actually. SciFlow takes care of the formatting for you. And this also goes for the citation style. So we can automatically transform the references into the desired style of the journal. So this was just a very quick overview of what SciFlow is. I don't go through all the features now. There's also, writing together, for example, handling figures, equations, everything you would expect from academic text editor. We want to focus on, research integrity and reference management. All right, so let's start actually here in the preferences. So in my presentation, I told you about that for SciFlow, it is very important that we want to give you control over the features and data the institution and the actual researchers have. So that's the reason why for research integrity, you can switch the feature on or off at the institutional level, at the user level, and the individual user can decide to use this feature. And once I do that, here a new button pops up, integrity. I just want to make sure and reload. And then for integrity, you can click on it and you will find all your documents in SciFlow where you can run a check on the references as we described. We're gonna do this now because I see for that paper, my report is already outdated. And I wanna check actually this paper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the document view. There's also the icon for research integrity, and I'm just gonna click on it, and now a new check pops up. I can select what I want to actually check, and I definitely want to use the Veracity citation analysis because this is what we talked about. And then I can select if I only want to check the bibliography, and because then we only send the bibliography to grounded, or if I want to perform the full text review. In any case, data is not used is not stored and used for training. So I'm good with selecting full text here and say run a check. Depending on the length of the paper, this might take some time. So you get an email once the analysis is complete. And no worries, we don't need to sit here and wait until this is finished. We can actually open up the document research integrity here and have a look at it in the SciFlow text editor. And so again, you see the SciFlow text editor. And you see already some references here. And what I want to do now is go through some of the issues here we actually see with those references. So let's start with one of the first issues, a reference that has actually no context to the text. So Dubinsky, 1981, this is a reference I had to use for my PhD thesis. It's about personal selling. But this here, this paragraph is about something completely else. It's about production models, author frameworks, and so on, but it has nothing to do with a personal selling process. So let's see if we discover that. Then we have also references that does not exist. So here are two references. One is here that is actually fabricated with a DOI completely made up. And if you think that I was actually a bit surprised that this happens in real life. It happens a lot actually. It happens a lot that there are fabricated DOIs in the paper. And you see actually for this reference, I used the reference manager, but here my co-author didn't use a reference manager, but put in a reference here that is not a proper reference. It's semantic. It's just text. And so let's see if we discover references like this as well, because this is actually important. Because if you're not using a reference manager, the chances of doing mistakes are actually higher. In this chapter, I cited myself a little bit too much. I had some publications on XML extractions and publishing workflows, and I would like to have all those references inside my paper. So let's see if we can actually find self-citations too much. And then here we have a retracted reference. So this reference is actually one of the most cited retracted reference of all time. So it was cited thousands of times before it was retracted. And here in the end, there is the reference list. And we find a list of references where we worked with a reference manager, and we also have the references. Yeah, where the DOI already looks a bit strange, but let's see if Grounded AI catches that as well. So let's switch back to the report. The report is done. I also got an email in the background, and now we can walk through the report a little bit. So, the Musterperson, this is actually the reference where we didn't use the reference manager. This was plain text, and the DOI was not resolved. And this is marked red because this is a major issue. Also, what you see is, so this is a small explanation. So what you see here, ref 1, this is a reference found. And then below, with this appendix that says that the reference has been found in the document as well. So here it gives me the actual place of the references where it was used. So all good. This was discovered. Of course, the DOI not resolved was also discovered for the reference where we got from the reference where we had the semantic reference. I'm just gonna go back and show you that. It was here. So this was discovered, and where it wasn't a semantic reference was discovered as well. Next, retracted reference was discovered as well. So, and here, this is something interesting actually. This is not red. This is gray. So it's maybe it's not quite wrong, but also not quite right. So we have a detailed look here. So first, it says this reference appears to be a self-citation for myself. Okay, this is correct. But it also says year not matched. That's interesting. I want to show more. I want to see the difference. So I can open up a new dialog where it actually says, okay, the year here, yeah, actually it's a different year. So think about this. You haven't used a reference manager. You have all the metadata and you want to check all those metadata for yourself. I think this is a good chance for automation. Definitely. So very nice that we checked this. What else? Yes, we also have some verified references, but I'm actually looking for that one. So remember Dubinsky from 1981, quite old reference. This was about personal selling process. The reference itself is verified, is correct, but the relevance where we use this reference is actually unclear. So although this reference is quite old already, Grounded was able to find out that the written text is about something completely else. So let's have a little bit more details here. Dubinsky is about personal selling techniques, not semantic authoring, digital publishing workflows, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's great. So we found out about this as well. And yeah, so you won't find the magic button now to fix all those issues. You still have to do it yourself. I think this is still the way we want to work with humans in SciFlow. So they have to fix the issues themselves, because sometimes there are good reasons, or sometimes the recognition was also with a false positive or so. It can always happen. But this gives you a very good overview of where issues might be and how to handle it. And with that, I would like to conclude the demo. Thank you so much. Can the tool also be used, for example, to review term papers or thesis in an academic context as an examiner? So as a lecturer, you could also have access to this feedback, to this feature and check tools. I think this is something that is the absolute valid use case where which is possible to do. I'm gonna after that small Q&A session, I'm gonna talk more about trials and how you get actually access to that feature, and then you can reach out of that with that exact use case in mind, and then we can think about how we could handle that. I'm gonna read the next one. Common AI tools usually have problems with citations checks, such as checking if a citation really exists or is fabricated. Have you tried to measure the reliability of your tool? Have you measured it? Can you share the results? Nick, I think this is a question for you.
And it's a great question. It's going to lead us to a really important distinction here. So, Marianne, when you're referencing common AI tools, I'm going to assume you're talking about, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and so on, because it might be an instinct to put your paper into those tools and say, check the citations. And yeah, it's understandable why you might do that. But as you correctly point out, those tools are very liable to produce fake citations themselves, and they might falsely verify or even introduce more fake citations during that process. There's a principle we follow, which I want to piggyback off something Carsten said earlier. He said data minimization, and in the context of only giving the amount of data that you need to. And I think we like to follow a similar principle with AI minimization, right? So we actually want to use the least amount of AI possible to solve the problem here. The problem is, can we verify all the references? We're not just going to paste the paper into an AI and ask it to check the references, because we have the same problem. How do we know if the result is trustworthy? We don't. So we don't use AI to do the whole task of checking references. We actually use AI for very kind of mechanical parts of that process, like identifying references in the text. And then once we've done that, we actually delegate that to normal search processes, which we completely control. So we don't have to know whether an AI tool is giving a correct reference or not. We have to basically actually just search for those references. And if it's a match, we say it's a match. We have found something in the real world which matches this reference. And if it doesn't match, we just say that it doesn't match, and we try and say why. But we don't rely on a black box to do that process. So it's actually not, it can have problems of its own. It can be that we searched for something, but we're not able to find it because we didn't have access to it, or we were blocked from accessing it, or we tried to say, why does this not match? And we didn't have the right metadata. And these are all things that can go wrong, but those are better problems to have than using a black box AI tool that's going to say the references exist when they don't. So I'm sort of suggesting that we don't. You may assume we're using more AI than we actually are for some of this, right? There's a lot of very simple non-AI related stuff that we're doing, basically. Hopefully that provides some context.
So next question, is grounded AI a function in a running SciFlow license, or do we have to license it additionally? Yeah. So this will actually be the next point. Good that we talk more about how to get access to the feature. All right. So we spent some time over the last 1 or 2 years, Nick and I, talking about this idea, and also talked to Max Planck Society and Helmholtz about this idea. And both big institutions agreed on a trial for the solution. And next week, actually, the trial will start. So Max Planck, Helmholtz will have access to that feature. The idea of having and calling it pilot is that over the first weeks and months, we're going to get a lot of user feedback and improve the solution in terms of performance of the checks, and how good the discovery is, and so on. And once we think there's a good level of confidence and good amount of user feedback, we're going to make this feature available to more pilots, to more institutions. There can be a flexible activation of that feature, user or institution level. And I think the best way, if you have interest in that solution, is that we send out. I just posted. I will post it in the chat a bit later. Just a small link where you can declare interest into the pilot program. Yeah, because what we're seeing in the market right now, publishers are gearing up on those research integrity solutions. We're not seeing too many solutions, especially AI solutions, helping researchers and students to improve the quality of their paper. And again, fabricated references are only one. Metadata issues and other things, those small mistakes are one where you can support your researchers. So if you're interested in pilot program, we will have a link for you to declare interest. All right, and last slide from my side today. So if you're already interested in running a SciFlow trial, this is what you can do definitely already today. Yeah, we run trials on a regular level. If you have been invited by one of our partners, you can contact the partner and say you want to try out SciFlow. We're going to give you access, set up your portal to SciFlow, which typically takes a week, and then you have a trial period of 1 to 2 months where you can SciFlow for free with all your researchers and students. And after that, you will get the results and reporting. Based on those results, you can decide to move on with a campus agreement on an annual basis. Yeah, I hope that answers the question how to get access. Hi, Mr. Borchert, can you help Web of Science and Scopus to correct their mistakes in cited references and missed bibliographic information? So I think, Nick, this is more task for you, right?
I think it's a one-word answer. I think it's yes. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah. Next one. Is it possible to upload or paste student texts into SciFlow for analysis without content being stored saved? Yeah, this touches the question of data control as well. So first of all, SciFlow is under the laws of GDPR. So of course you can that doesn't matter if student text or not, but you can upload text or write text in SciFlow. And if you decide you don't want to have this data in SciFlow anymore, then you can delete the document, and then the document is gone. So somehow we need to save it, otherwise there's no way to exit it, to access it. But once you decide to delete it, the data is gone. Could you please talk about where all the uploaded content from users is stored, how it is protected in a cloud environment? Yeah, so the data of SciFlow is stored in data centers here in Germany. And yeah, in terms of GDPR, we are also required to have certain measures, workflows, processes in place to protect the data. So this is no matter AI or not, this is yeah what we do on a daily basis. You want to
Yeah,
add something, Nick?
yeah, I'll add to that. So one of the big questions when you think about data flow with these tools is what AIs are being used behind the scenes, right? Is ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic being used? And so for us, we've had to basically solve the local hosting of the AI models that we use. So just like Carsten was saying, or not only the data storage, but also the AI models being used are all run in our own controlled, secure cloud environments. So that's a great question.
Okay. So in the chat, we also have had it not a question, but more critical comment. So this is perfectly fine. I'm gonna read it as well. So it goes, this tool will only help irresponsible authors to disguise what they cited sources they didn't read, which is a breach of good scientific practice. So yes, good scientific practice obvious, but I'm going to say it, suggests that you have to read the source. Um, I'm 100% on that side as well. I'm just going to say there might also be scenarios where metadata issues, for example, or your co-authors cite themselves too much, create an issue that maybe you detect or maybe you don't detect. Of course, you should, but we believe a tool can help you with that. Next question. Which databases are searched for matching references?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would categorize it into two main steps. So the first thing we would love to do is find the matching reference in a canonical database, which is openly available. So those are Crossref, Semantic Scholar, OpenAlex, Open Library, and there are several others. And that covers not just academic papers, but you want to cover books, you want to cover a lot of other source types. So when you can't find something that's cited in one of those trusted databases, you have to go to general web search. So what we do there is we use search engines. We prefer Brave, which is a private, more secure alternative to Google. But there are others like that, and so we will then search the web and try and find something. So that's the process we follow.
Another question, will AI detection tools mark a paper that has been edited using SciFlow as AI generated? That depends basically on you if you enter text that has been AI generated. The data that is on SciFlow servers doesn't leave SciFlow servers. So there is no connection whatsoever, and it's the same for grounded. I can't answer the question if AI will detect as AI generated because that completely depends on what you enter as data. Okay, next one. Did I understand correctly that you can participate in the pilot program for free and it then transitions into a paid contract? What are the costs afterward? Yeah, this question I can't answer at this very moment. And the reason is we first want to get some insights into our first running pilots with Helmholtz and Max Planck. And yes, those are paid pilots. Yes. So as soon we figure that out, I believe it will around be summertime. We will get back to you with a proposal that you can accept or reject. For now, the best thing you can do is fill out the form with your details so that we have a chance to get back to you. If I understand your licensing model correctly, does it mean that individual tries of the software are not possible at this moment and access is only available through institutional licenses? Yes, for trials, definitely yes. If you are a small group of users, so SciFlow licensing starts with 5 users, so you could try that as well. And then, of course, we can think about ways to give you access to the grounded AI feature as well. All right, so we have 5 minutes left. I'm just gonna through it very quickly to see if there is something else something else which you didn't cover so far. Yeah, there's one. Are all standard citation styles available? Yeah, so in SciFlow there are around 10,000 citation styles available. We work together with an open solution here, CSL styles. And for lots of journals out there, there's already the right reference style in terms of CSL. So we integrated those styles to SciFlow. And if we create new styles, we also use CSL. So you have the standard ones, APA, Harvard, IEEE, Chicago, Vancouver. But if you have individual institutional citation style, this would be possible too. Could you integrate a journal suggestion tool in SciFlow? This is a good idea for a future feature where AI could help us. And we might do or not do it. It's not really on our roadmap right now. But but it's an interesting idea that would definitely help authors too. There's also the question, which journals do we include in SciFlow? So right now we have over 5,000 journal templates in SciFlow. And for our institutional customers, we have the service that if any of the users require a different journal template, we do it for free. So let's say we don't have a certain journal in our database, user can ask for that specific journal, and then we incorporate it to SciFlow. And of course, we run a quick check if this journal looks suspicious, which was never the case because users are aware of that. Not always, but in our case, it was always the case. All right, Nick, do you see any more questions we didn't cover so far?
I can't see any more.
Anything you would like to add or anything?
Well, I want to congratulate you on your demo. I think you did a great job. So,
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, no, great job of developing it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, to wrap this webinar up, thanks again for your time today. I hope we made it clear what our approach to AI is and how we believe AI can support quality research. We will provide the recording of the webinar, the slides, and again, the link where you can declare interest for a trial, for a pilot, once we are ready. And with that, I'm going to wish you a nice day and hope to see you soon in SciFlow.
Thank you so much, everyone. And Carsten, all the best.
Okay, cheers. Cheers, Nick.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.